Oh, okay. To me. You're here.
I mean, I just.
I heard you broke up a little bit, but you're here.
Oh.
So how's your internet signal?
Let me tell Justin something. Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Justin. That's.
Luckily, we're not live. It's
What should
YouTube, so I can always edit it out. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
Hey,
Been a
worship leader.
faithful follower.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I've been, it's like YouTube, people watch, they mainly watch like gear related stuff. I'd post something about,
Oh, yeah.
how to lead your team well, you want to hear some tips or whatever. I get a few and then post something about like a pedal.
Oh, sure, it blows up.
So I post more about that so I can hook them.
What's the hot new pedal? What's a hot new pedal? What's gotten you like some big traction?
Well, this little thing right, let me just look.
I would love to see.
This here, my camera's not cool enough to autofocus without this box on here, but this here is the HX Stomp.
Okay.
And it is an amp modeler.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even play through an amp anymore. Isn't that crazy?
Really?
I had one for a year after I bought this, thinking I'm still going to be an amp person. I'm not going to get rid of my amps. This is so good.
Wow. Okay.
Like we even built those boxes backstage, like we had at North Raleigh. You go mic your amp up and stuff, but
with a trophy holding up the microphone.
I need to find that picture. We had a trophy, gaff taped a microphone to it just to hold it at the right level.
It was so ghetto.
That's a good memory.
Man.
I think I took a picture of that somewhere. I have to find that again. If I do, I'll pop it up right here.
See that.
This has got to make it in the video.
I can see it. It's like a huge blue and gold trophy. I can see it.
Yep. Oh man,
gosh.
that was funny. So anyways, yeah, this pedal came out a few years ago. I love it because you can do a lot with it. So I like it, but they just came out with the XL.
Oh, okay.
Which
all right.
A lot of people think is stupid. So we'll see. I ordered one. We'll see when it gets here. Because
it's stupid, but I ordered it.
Here's why it might be stupid. Well, I ordered it. I can explain that later, but I didn't order it for me.
Gotcha.
But they already have. This is already the mini version of a bigger unit. So to have a mini version and then have an XL version of the mini version.
Wow. Okay.
You kind of see, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there is. I think they were smart. I mean, I think there's some people who will want it. But anywho. Yes.
Anywho.
Let me start this video. Like
cool.
Officially.
All right.
This is all going to make it in the video. But
okay,
I want to welcome people to the video.
Yeah, sure.
And then we'll talk about who you are. Yeah, welcome.
Okay.
Hey, worship leader, welcome to the channel. I have with me today Molly Vidovich. How are you doing, Molly?
Hey, doing great. How are you?
Isn't it awkward to act like we just started talking when we've already been talking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
No, if you're here today, I just wanted to invite Molly on the channel because she has been, what's the word? Important in my life as a worship leader. And I was her associate worship leader at a church, the Summit Church, not too long ago. Actually, it's getting long. Yeah. Over 4 years ago.
Wow.
Because I've been at my church now for a little over 4 years. So that's crazy.
Well, it means your contract's wrapping up. I'm keeping tabs.
Exactly. You remember all that? Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to have you on the channel just because your leadership was amazing to see. And I still think about things you did where you would write little cards of encouragement to different people on the team and stuff like that. And so I try to hopefully hold on to a little bit of that team leadership. I saw such good leadership in you. Plus musicality. You're amazing vocalist and instrumentalist. When I saw you play electric guitar for the first time, I was like, what? She plays piano, she sings, she has an electric guitar, acoustic guitar, she does it all. Yay.
That was fun. Fun.
So welcome to the channel. I thought I would ask some questions, but first, just who are you? Where do you serve? Are you married? Do you have kids? All those things.
Yeah. All right. And you said my name right. Thank you for the whole world. It's Molly Vidovich. It is a very easy name to pronounce. People like to overcomplicate it. Yeah, I just turned 33, so I'm in my Jesus year. All
Jesus, yeah.
right. And I live in Raleigh. I have been a member at the Summit Church for 10 years this year.
Wow.
Been also married for 10 years next month, to my husband, Justin. And he is also a fantastic drummer. So that's how we met, actually, is we served a lot together in college, and he's amazing. Just love serving with him. We have 2 kids, Sadie, my daughter, who is 4.5, and my son, Roman, who is 2.5, and it is classic middle child because we have another one on the way coming in 2 months. My son is crazy. He's wild. He's sunshine. And I have a very rule follower, firstborn who is starting kindergarten soon. So that's wild. So we're about to do ministry on top of being a mom of 3.
Wow. That's crazy.
It's about to get like crazy in here. Yeah.
Man, mentioning Justin's a drummer, I think I need to audition him over at up at the Open Door. You don't
know, right? Good luck.
I miss him, man.
He's one of the most reliable drummers I think I've ever drummed with, aside from me having to yell at him to hit the drums a little harder every now and then. And then having to publicly apologize.
So we're talking about that good leadership. It doesn't always apply to spouses all the time.
Oh, it's interesting. It's interesting when the roles are kind of reversed like that, but very good moments for us.
I know that you are into the Enneagram. I was going to say, I've been asking these generic questions for people, but I already know what number you are, but let's share who you are, and then maybe a little bit how that plays out and how you lead your team. I don't know, whatever you got.
Yeah. It's kind of newer for me. In 2019, I did like a deep dive through Annie F. Downs's podcast. She did like Ennea Summer 2019. So I went through every number. I read The Road Back to You, because before that I had only done like Myers-Briggs. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm an ENFJ. The J and the P was like kind of right in the middle. And so depending on the situation, I could be either perceiver or a judge. But very extroverted, like super extroverted. This pandemic has been so hard for me. So hard for me. But that was really all I had to go off of. And then I heard about the Enneagram, and we had to take it as a part of the worship staff at Summit. And I took the test 3 times, and each test typed me as an 8, which I was very kind of confused about. I didn't feel like my motivations lined up with an 8. I think my personality probably lines up more with an 8. Like I'm a very intense person, not afraid to hurt feelings, not afraid to challenge anybody, but my motivation is not to challenge people.
Right.
So once I read The Road Back to You, everything that I read there, I lined up with a 3. Most everything, my motivations are to win, to be the best. And if I'm going to do something, it's only so that I can like be the first person to do it or be the best at it. And if I'm confident in it, if I've done it before, then game over. Finding out the wings was kind of hard. I definitely wing to the 2. So a 3 wing 2. I think that comes as a part of being, number 1, a Christian, number 2, a woman, number 3, a mom. Right. So I think that all lines up there. But winging from the 3 is interesting because it's like, I want to win and I'm going to help you. So I'm going to be the best helper you have ever had. You will never ask anybody else to help you ever again. Ever.
Yeah. To a fault. No.
Literally, yes. Right. And so, which was great as a worship volunteer when I was coming up, like, I was like, okay, here's the things I know that I'm good at. I can serve in this way. I'm here to help. Schedule me as much as you want, even if my life suffers. Yeah. So it was interesting, but I don't wing to the 4 as much. I'm not a super feeler. I would describe myself as a creative if I have the space to do it. Yeah. With 2 kids and 2 jobs, I don't have a lot of space to do it. But when I do, it's there. but
Yeah.
that's kind of the only time I can really channel that.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, I feel that. And I affirm that in you. It's funny how the misdiagnosis can happen. That's why they say, really, you're the only one that can know, because it's that inner self. Because I've
Yeah.
got diagnosed as a 3 before, because but then when I was reading those motivations, I'm like, man, and then I took the test again, or I took it before. And I was a 9. And then when I was reading a 9, I was like, man, I am a 9. Like, that's where it comes out of. And then there, I go to a 3,
It sounds like you're a really healthy 9.
I mean,
That's that 3-6-9 triangle. So
right,
you go
right.
to a 3 in health and a 6 in stress. Sounds like you're just like a super healthy 9, which
And
is
maybe that's all they
great.
saw. Maybe that's all they saw anyway. So yeah. So
Maybe.
when I'm stressed, I go to that 6 and get worried. But yeah, because I'm like, to-do list, get it done. But the motivation is more out of a 9, peacemaker, people pleasing. Like, I want to make people happy, and so it's difficult, because we all have that, that what lies underneath. So like anger, but 9s aren't comfortable with anger. And I'm like, as soon as I read that sentence, I was like, that's me. Like, it's all in there, but I'm not comfortable with it at all. So I have to like,
okay, we'll do whatever works for you. I will break my back. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Or I just won't schedule you ever again, so I don't have to have you in my life. That's more like it. Like, I just don't need you in my life, because I'm not comfortable with the stress you bring to me, and I can't go to my 3 and get things done.
God. And this is so interesting. That is so not typical for a firstborn. Like you, like normally firstborns are like 3s or 2s.
Yep.
And that is wild to me.
Yeah.
Wild.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. And it's just funny how it plays out and how we lead, and just getting to whatever number you are, like figuring out the way God's designed you and the obstacles you have to overcome. And yeah, it's all good stuff. We've talked about Enneagram on almost all my interviews. And, you have every once in a while I'll get comments from someone saying it's of the devil and all that stuff. And that's fine. But, we're all God's instruments. And this is really
I use it as a tool. I think there's a difference in using it to guide your life and using it as a tool as a leader. I know all of my volunteers' numbers, and I know who I can and cannot put things on last minute that will either send them into a stroke, or that's what they like thrive off of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And it just depends. You got to know your people. And that is a great tool to do that.
Yep. I don't wake up reading the Enneagram Bible, but when you know those, when you know those things about your team, it really helps you become a better leader. And that, at the end of the day, I think that's why I like talking about on this channel, because we're, when we're in a role of worship leading, we are leading. And so it's very important part. It's helped me a lot. So yeah. All right, moving on, because this video, we will talk forever. And,
we could,
but what's the last song you taught your church? Done any new songs?
We did. We taught, we just brought Yet Not I, but Through Christ in Me.
Yeah, City of Light.
But we did the Bethany Bernard version on Shane and Shane's worship initiative.
Yeah.
I'm just a Bethany Dillon fan forever. But yeah, that song really got me through like January and February. It's one of these modern day hymns that come out like that, they stick, and my kids love it. I love wordy stuff like that. That's really deep theologically, but then each verse really speaks to, man, it is a fantastic song.
Such a great song. Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me, for our church, the one I've done most recently that in that same vein is My Worth Is Not in What I Own, which I don't remember who originally wrote it, but
I couldn't tell you.
But we did the Shane and Shane version. I'm sure it's not their original song, but I can't remember. It's like Getty's. I can't remember. Somebody watching, let me know down in the comments.
It might be the Gettys.
It might be, but that for our church is like, so it's one of those that I love. It's, our word, like the words in it are just great. I've talked about it on this channel before, but cool. I love that. The last song we just taught, which was just last week, was a brand new song called Every Victory.
Okay.
And it's like by the Belonging Company. I just randomly found it, or got an email from like Loop Community or Multitracks or something. I was like, that sounds interesting. Cool. And so being on their email list is good, because people are always uploading the
Yes.
multi-tracks to Good New Songs, and I listened to it and I was like, man, that's
Yep.
perfect for Easter, but I want people to know it by Easter, so we introduced it a few weeks early. So yeah, it's been
Hell yeah.
going really well. I love it.
That's awesome. I need to go
Yeah.
and find that.
Yeah. So I mentioned, what gear do you have now? You know, people love gear. You play guitar, you play piano, you used to have a pedal board. I don't know. Tell us about gear, Molly.
Too. Oh, I used to be such like a gearhead, and now I'm like this,
You sold it all.
little mom that like, oh my gosh. Okay, so it's funny. I still have the telly. I still
Yeah.
have like the little Jimmy went with me actually, you guys, to help me get this telly and make sure that I was not going to get kidnapped.
Oh yeah,
Forever
I
ago.
forgot about that. That's right.
It's true. I was like, please make sure this is okay. It's been a great little guitar, but I have not picked it up in probably 2 years. When we transitioned as a church to a bigger campus, it just wasn't really a ton of space or a need for me to play
Yeah.
that anymore. But my acoustic guitar is my baby. It is a Taylor. Oh my gosh! And now I'm blanking on the number. Oh, it's a 712.
Nice. Okay.
It's 712, and it is, I believe, Indian rosewood, if I can remember correctly.
Nice.
Which is very rare. They don't make it anymore, or as far as I know, I haven't heard. But I've had it since September of 2005. So we're talking 15-year-old guitar that we got a steal on. Some guy custom made it and then didn't want it anymore. And I was like, Mom, Dad, I need this guitar. I don't have a guitar. I'm leading worship every week at youth group, and I'm borrowing this guy's every single Sunday night. And so I was like, okay, we can make it my Christmas, birthday, graduation present. And it totally was. And it was probably the most borrowed guitar at Summit for a while.
Wow.
It's a great sounding guitar. It's kind of a smaller body. It's not a baby, but I don't know. It's smaller, but
big. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had to have a Fishman system installed in there to make it electric acoustic because it was not.
Oh, okay.
And it just died for the first time in 15 years it lasted. So I got to go get a new one.
Wow.
When I don't really have any pedals for that, but when I did have pedals for my little telly, what did I have? I had that
The M9 or something? M5? I don't know.
M5. I had the M5. I loved that.
Yeah.
And I probably did not even use that pedal for like 10% of what it could actually do. I had Morning Glory for a while because that was super hot.
Right.
For like that 3-year period, like you had to have the Morning Glory pedal.
Yeah.
And Soul Food I loved.
Yep.
And there was another one I cannot remember the name of. Josh Will gave it to me, and then I gave it back to him before they moved to Brooklyn.
Oh, I know. That's crazy.
But anyway, it was a tiny little pedal board, but I was playing rhythm electric, so I was not playing lead lines at all. I think the only lead line that you and I maybe learned how to play together was for Eternal King.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So where it was really
parts.
Gosh, I miss that song.
For all seasons, right?
Yes.
Yes.
I need to bring that back. That was a great song.
Yeah, that was good.
Super fun to play, super hard to play while I'm leading it.
Right.
So, but I think I did it like once.
It sounded great. It was a great day. That's all they remember.
And I think I was probably pregnant too, because I'm just like always pregnant.
The thing was, is if you played it once, you played it 20 times because we had 5 services.
Oh, I haven't even gotten to that part yet. We will go there.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yes, at my church now, I was like, please, if we ever add services, just do them all on Sunday. I don't want to come in on Saturday. That's a whole nother day.
And you know what? It took a pandemic to do that. We're done with Saturdays now.
Praise.
Exactly.
Even if it's just one service, you got to come in, you got to rehearse, set up everything. You know, it's a lot. So for those of you watching that have Saturday services, well done.
Yes, I love you. You're wonderful. You're great for young families like mine.
Yeah.
If you're attending, but if you're serving, my heart goes out to you. It is a long weekend.
It is a long weekend because we would get there at like 1:30 or something for a 2:00 rehearsal, sound check, play till,
Yes.
I can't remember. It was like, well, we had
Play till 3:45, took a break. No, I'm sorry, 2:45. No, we rehearsed at 2. We rehearsed until like 3:30. Came back at 4 to do a full run through
right.
so that the 5 o'clock service didn't feel like a dress rehearsal.
Yeah.
And then did like a 5 o'clock service and then a 6:30.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might have been, yeah, but there were 2. I don't remember the exact. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember they changed there for a while because I showed up at Briar Creek one time, like 30
Oh.
minutes late, because it seemed like it used to be like 4:30 and 6 or something. I don't remember. I'm
Yeah,
probably
yeah, yeah,
messing it
you're
up, but I
right.
showed up and they're
No,
like,
you're right.
no, it was 4, not 4:30. And I was like, oh my gosh.
You're right. I think I've blocked all of this out of my brain. But you're right. I think it was like 4 and 5:30
Yeah.
services.
Oh my goodness. Good times though.
Wow.
Good times.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
times.
for sure.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, cool. That all came from the new song we learned. Good. I have some other songs, but I wanted to just get as much as you want to talk about it, I wanted to have you on because I know I shared with you last night, like 2%, I think, of my audience is female. So hey, if you're watching,
Hello.
but most of them are male. And
Mhm.
I remember, this is why I wanted to do it, because I have a memory of John Mueller asking me, the hiring process to come on to be your associate worship leader. And I was just pumped. And he looked at me in the eye, and you were standing right there, I think. And he said, do you have a problem with Molly being your superior or whatever, however he worded it, I don't remember. And I was like, it hit me. And I was like, on what level? And he said, any level. And I was like, no.
Sounds like John.
Yeah.
Ah.
He's like, on any level. And I was like, no. And I thought, it stuck in my head because I'm glad he asked, because he didn't know me that well at the time to know. Because since then, I've just seen it in a lot of men. They struggle with strong female leadership, especially over them. And that wasn't even something that was like on my radar. But the way he asked it, it's like, I appreciated he asked it. And I just wanted to talk about it because I wanted to show men that there's a good example of strong female leadership that was done biblically in the right way. And I just kind of wanted to verbalize that so people can hear it, and then ask you what it's been like being a female worship leader, big church, super talented. Are there struggles? Has it been great? What do you want to say? You don't have to unpack it all, but feel free to.
There's a lot I could say. And thank you for what you said. It's interesting. You're coming from it, the way that you're going to approach this as a male or female depends on, honestly, like the denomination that you grew up in, and like what examples of female leadership you've seen. Because if you've only seen your mom, you're going to have a very limited view. Like, there were friends that I had that did not even have like female principals at their school. Okay. So it could be any number of things. But I grew up first half of my life in a Church of God church. There were not a lot of women in leadership roles there. And then when I was 9, we transitioned to a Methodist church where we had a woman pastor. Okay. So it was very different for me. Great for me to see that, but I did not, at 9, 10 years old, do like a deep dive theologically into women pastors. And I'm not even going to touch that today. So but what was great is that, so it started very young for me. When I was in 8th grade, 7th and 8th grade, I was asked to do like solos in church. You remember when you have like special music for like the offering? I remember being asked to do that, and I was terrified because I would just play for myself and sing for myself at home. And that led to somebody whose name is Chase, who ended up being a church planner for Summit. His name was Chase Gardner. He called me. He said, "Hey, I know that like I don't really know you. I'm in Weddington High School. You're in middle school. Sorry if this is weird. We're looking for a female vocalist and someone to help lead worship for Youth Sunday. Would you be interested? We're going to do a praise band." And I was like, "What's a praise band?" And so I was like, "Sure. I mean, I can play by ear. Like, just tell me what songs you want to do." Was super glad to help. There's the 2. So I was like, just don't put me in charge of it. Like, I'll be there to help. Um, and then Chase graduated the next year and they had nobody to
Mm,
lead worship for the high school team. So okay, so I was in 7th grade. So in 8th grade, I was leading worship for the youth group high school. Like,
wow. In 8th grade.
I was not even in high school. And I didn't have a guitar. I didn't know what I was doing, but this is a small town and I knew a bunch of the high schoolers in the church, in the youth group. They were super respectful. I knew the guy who could play. I'm like, you can play drums, you play bass, you play guitar, just play what you hear. I really don't know what to say. And our youth pastor was great because he let us be terrible
Mm,
and figure it out. And even for youth Sunday, when we're playing for the entire church, I did not have like a woman to really look up to at this point. But then a couple years later, a guy came in named Chris, and he started leading more at the youth group, and I learned a ton from him. And then, I was working at camps during the summer, leading there. And then started leading at Crusade and college, just as a female vocalist, though I was not the worship leader. But when we got to Summit, we got married in April 2011. I came to Summit. We met our friend Hank Murphy, and Justin and I started serving pretty much every Sunday for like the first 8 months that we were there. And a time came where Hank had to leave for the weekend, and he was like, "Hey, could you lead in my place?" And I'm like, "No, I will do anything but that."
right.
And he was like, "Oh, it'll be fine. I'll set you up, and you don't even have to do like a scriptural exhortation or whatever." But that I was like, that's fine. I will help you out. And I don't know if that was necessarily a catalyst for me, but it did put me in front of a team who looked at me and trusted me. But I was not thinking about like, what does the Bible say about this? I just assumed it was okay because Hank told me it was okay and it was great. And I continued to like step in for him, every so often over the next few years. Then the time came for him to move to another campus. We had another worship leader. I was his associate for a year and led for him, and I led once a month. Learned a ton under Kelby and stuff about Ableton, stuff about gear, and just the ins and outs of what to put in during the week
Mm,
for the weekend ministry, books to read, all that kind of stuff. So Kelby was definitely integral for me. And he was like 4 years younger. So it was crazy. I'm like, how do I not know any of this? But when he left, there was our campus pastor at the time approached me and he said, "Have you thought about taking Kelby's position as the campus worship leader?" And I was like, "Is that even allowed?" Because like I know you guys this is a very Southern Baptist church. And he said, "I don't know, where there's like some conversations happening." And I was like, "Okay, well, just let me know what you need. Like if he's leaving in May, I can take the summer and interim for you if you want, and y'all can figure it out." Um, I don't know if I want this as my vocation. I've never been to seminary. I don't really feel equipped,
mm,
maybe called. No, I don't know. So there were a lot of conversations that happened between me and our campus pastor at that time. And what I didn't know is that there were directional elder meetings like weekly about this. And JD I guess he was a part of it, but it was like, does the worship leader role have to be pastoral?
right.
And ultimately just to skip like 30 minutes of stuff, it does not. The conclusion was it does not. It is shepherding a team. It is in a way a teaching position, but it's not taking authority. I'm not taking the Greek root of some word and
Right.
like
Right.
making, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was like, oh, so they voted it does not have to be a pastoral position. We can hire a woman. And I interviewed and I got the job the next week. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is
It-
wild.
right.
I just, and everyone, and then all eyes are on me. Like, this is the Summit Church's and probably the SBC's first female worship leader. It's like, what are you going to do next? I'm like, oh, I'm going
Panic.
to Disney World.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but it was great at the time because the people like you who were volunteering and serving with me, I had been serving with for the last like 5 years at that point. So I knew that I had the support. And it was just like hanging out with my friends every Saturday. It's just a whole lot of content going in. But like I said, there's a guy at Summit whose name is Chris Gaynor, and he poured into me a lot about what kind of like where that line is on stage when I'm doing a scriptural exhortation, and what can be perceived as teaching, what can be perceived as preaching, or like,
Yeah.
the explanation or the proclamation of the word.
Yeah.
And it's really not until now that I'm taking a teaching course actually through Summit, where I'm learning about what that means and how far I can kind of push it a little bit. But the support for women that Summit has now in leadership positions is nowhere near to what it was even like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
We are hiring female worship interns like on purpose. And we're equipping them, and they're using me to do that, which is cool because I'm like, I still kind of have no idea what I'm doing sometimes. I've been there, and I had to do it all while having a baby for the first time and being a full-time work at home mom and work away from the home mom. It's like it was a crazy balance, but
Yeah.
it's been wild.
So we're here on YouTube, and I know there are people of all walks of life potentially listening to this. Some are like, what is this even an issue? But we're in a seminary town, and it is an issue. I think what I appreciate is no matter where you land on all this, I appreciate the thought behind it. Like, there's something to be thought through rather than just willy-nilly. We are leading God's church, and these are, we want to be scriptural, we want to be Bible based, and we want to point people to Jesus and do it the fullest way possible. I think people turn it around and try to almost limit it as much as possible. And yes, we just want to do what scripture teaches us to do and not go further than that. And so that's what I appreciate about it. No matter, I don't want the comments to be exploding on this. It's not about, that's not what I think. That's not what it's about. I think it's about what I appreciate about this conversation is that we are looking at scripture, talking with the elders, trying to figure out what is the fullest way we can lead our church and congregation and support women in ministry who are gifted
in the roles that God designed us for. And it's about the posture of your heart for all of it. So like, if you're out there to just like push buttons and see as to how far you can get without jumping that line or whatever, like that is not honoring God. But if you're there to say like, I mean, a church is not going to thrive unless its men and women are thriving too, unless they've like created all avenues for this to happen. If women truly are as valuable as the church says that they are. So the support that you have is massive, but it really is about the posture of your heart and saying, I am here to first be a servant. And I'm here to serve the church. This is not just a job. This is what God has called me to in ministry. And so I need to be a servant first, a worshiper next, third, a worship leader, and then fourth, a musician. So that's really where it all comes down to me, is that like respect and servanthood have to be first.
So I was about to say, and that I think that's a perfect lead into it, is like, say there are some younger female worship leaders or someone who they have that desire in their heart. What would you say to them? Obviously those 4 things. That's good.
Yes.
Get that in order. What else would you say to someone who might be watching this thinking, I want to do this? Like, what encouragement do you have for them?
Yeah, you have to start at the bottom. You have to really humble yourself before the Lord and say, like, I am willing. Summit ask these questions when they get baptized. Like, I'm willing to go wherever you tell me to go and do whatever you're telling me to do. And if you are not serving in your local church, you need to be serving in your local church.
Mm-hmm.
If they don't have room in the worship ministry, go back to kids, go greet people at the door, do something, offer support that way, because this, it, again, starts with a heart posture. If you're young and looking to make this a vocation, like look into schools where you can literally major in worship. Like I just didn't know about this stuff when I was 17, 18 years old. I wish I had known, but I didn't. And get involved, get plugged into your local church, watch channels like this, like educate yourself, because that's all I've really been able to depend on, is educating myself. Pick up books where you can, join a small group. I mean, it's hard. You really do have to put yourself out there, but you have to humble yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as hard as it is, I mean, you mentioned, just finding someone and being upfront, like, hey, pour into me, because people don't see the opportunities, but asking for it, man, like you mentioned, Kelby showing you Ableton. He showed me Ableton for the first time. I was like, what is this? No, this is too much. I was like, it's crazy. And just those little things, like he didn't actually just tell me about it. I remember him sitting next to me and showing me the warp feature. How do you transpose this stuff? And I was like, he actually sat down with me to show me that. Like, that never happens.
It's huge. It makes a huge difference. And like, I didn't, for specifically females, like I did not have a female worship leader to sit down and show me this. Like the only female worship leader that I have been able to look up to and mimic their life is Brooke Ledgerwood. She's like a mom and a worship leader. I'm like, okay, how do you do this?
Right.
I'll do what you're doing. But so don't be afraid to like approach, if you feel like they're safe, like approach a male worship leader and say, I'm really interested in this. I would love to learn how to do this. Do you have time to sit and go over this kind of stuff with me? But like I said, if you've been serving with them, if you've been, on the worship team for a while, like that stuff just naturally can come up in conversations when you're serving on the weekends. And there's a lot of time for education in that time.
And then I would just say to the male worship leaders out there, like, make it known that you're open to that kind of stuff. Cause I think a lot of it's probably not even on their radar. Like, I know I have several female potential worship leaders in our youth. I can't talk. It's still early. It's 10:41. But and so I'm doing my best to create a culture where I'm constantly growing the team. It doesn't matter what color you are, what gender you are. We are the church. We are equipped, and I want to continue to equip whoever you are. And so I'm hoping to create that culture so there's no confusion about it. Like, I wouldn't ever want somebody to be like, well, it's all guys up there, so girls aren't needed or wanted, or we have just as many women on stage as we do men most of the time. I just wish more of the women played bass and drums and electric guitar. But
I know. I know. It's hard.
But yeah, I think that's a good word. I think that's good for both men and women to hear. It can be done. We are all the church, and we are all called to serve the church. So, man.
And having it's one thing I didn't say, especially to men or male worship leaders, is having a teachable spirit about that, and like saying like, what, maybe I could actually learn something from this, or maybe me taking time to like dumb it down for a second. Like you really do begin to see the value, and God kind of, it's like chipping away at your pride a little bit. But the men who've invested in me, the worship leaders who've invested in me and made sure that like I'm set up to succeed, like what honors God more than that? What serves your team better than you saying, I'm going to set up every single person here to succeed? Like you're making them into worship leaders, because when people look at them on the stage, they are leading.
Yep.
And so they need to be equipped to answer questions. It's going to keep the cycle going.
And I would say being able to be taught by the other gender. So for me, I'm remembering something you taught me. I was new to, I had used Planning Center for years, but we were a small church. So I just looked at one week at a time. And you were like, hey, Jimmy, because I was your associate and I was leading once a month. And you were like, when you weren't on stage, and you were like,
Mhm.
hey, I want you to plan the set coming up.
Mhm.
Planning center. I was like, yeah, I got it. So I planned my beautiful set, and you were like, hey, did you not use matrix mode? And I was like, what? What's matrix mode?
Matrix.
Yeah. And you're like, because you planned like 2 of the same songs I'm doing the very next week. You know? uh, Something like that. And I was like, oh no, I didn't know, So you taught me about matrix mode, and that now I know, nobody ever
Boom.
taught me. And if you hadn't given me the opportunity to plan my own set
Yeah.
list that first time, which I'd done many times before, but obviously not in the capacity I needed to at the place I was at. So you taught me about matrix mode, and I was like, oh yeah. Now that I know, you were looking at it and being like, well, 2 of the songs I'm doing the very next week, why are you copying the set list? Obviously
I
they were
think I
good
remember
songs.
that.
Obviously they were good songs,
We're good.
but yeah,
Probably.
I could have just been like, had a different spirit about it and not been teachable,
Mm,
and I'm glad I didn't, because now I
yeah.
use matrix mode all the
Thanks.
time.
There you
And I
go.
talk about it on this channel, and still people are like, oh, you can see more than 1 week at a time. I get comments like this. I'm like, I know you have this comment because I had the
Yes.
comment. You don't wake up knowing this stuff. That's for
That's
sure.
right. That's right.
Yeah. All right. So your biggest aha moment in worship ministry. Do you have one? I didn't give you these
I have,
far in
it's
advance.
funny, I thought about it. I thought about 2 off the bat. The first one, I feel like will everyone's gonna nod their head. Nashville Numbers
Oh,
was
yes.
the biggest aha moment for me ever. And as a classically trained pianist, like that is, I talked about my guitars a lot earlier, but I've true pianist. I
Piano.
started when I was 5, and I don't have anything like I don't have a keyboard worth mentioning, but like I don't have a cool Nord or anything. But I
We just
love to
bought
play.
one, not to interrupt you, but we bought
Ah,
a little
what
one.
did you get?
We bought
Oh,
the
okay.
Electro 6, and it's
Oh,
only 61
wow.
key, because that's how much I had. That's how
Yeah,
much money I had.
sure.
But I was like,
Sure.
it's better. I mean, it sounds amazing. It sounds amazing.
It's a computer. I love it. It makes
Yeah.
sense to me. Um, yeah, so Nashville Numbers, like I used to love a transpose button, and I was like, dude, why are we playing a song in B flat? Like, I'm just gonna play in C and knock it down. But no, that was Nashville Numbers helped me be able to just transpose on the spot.
Yeah.
And it helped me educate my volunteers and help them become better musicians by like, oh man, which my, if volunteers, if they're watching this, like I am so notorious for putting up a song in the wrong key. And then the day that we show up, I'm like, oh no, that was supposed to be in something else. But
Yeah.
now they can just like do it on the fly because we can just call out numbers.
Yeah.
Um, so national number system was the first thing. Second thing was let's see, how do I word this well? um when I started serving with a guy named Brandon Williams, it was the most humbling experience of my life. I'm like, I do not know as much as I think I know about music.
That's for
I
sure.
am definitely not the best pianist or the best vocalist. um I think I can read a room pretty well, but the value of what Brandon brought and having an MD on the weekends and then expanding our diversity in worship, like I was in a white bubble for
Mm.
worship for so long. And I'm telling you, every time I plan a set, it's like Made Away. This song called Made Away is like always kind of finds its way into my set. But me like expanding my brain this much,
Right.
maybe this much, to songs that I would normally not pick out are the ones that I run to when I'm in the valley. And it's just
Mm.
without friends and worship leaders, and intentionally Summit intentionally hiring Black worship leaders and
Mhm.
people that do not look like me. Like it expanded my worship of God. Like it was like, wow, I just had no idea.
Yeah.
So that's the 2 really, I guess, ahas for me.
That's awesome. And for viewers, Brandon is amazing. Like
Oh,
you're just like, I'm
I
not
love him.
worthy. That dude, I
No,
don't get it. I literally, his brain is on a different level, but yeah.
for every song he plays, touches every key of the 88 keys. Like I'm like, I don't know what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
He's amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good word for sure. That's awesome.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, just getting out of the bubble that you're in, no matter what
Mhm.
bubble you're in, is I love the way you put it. It expands our worship. It expands,
Yeah.
our view of God. And, being in a bubble is never a good thing unless you're staying away
Never.
from Rona. But,
True.
but yeah, because I'm thinking that's a whole nother video. We could talk about that.
Oh, I
It's-
could that yes, I could go on
yes.
forever about that.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you some quick this or that, just for fun. This,
Oh,
this is
okay.
fun. This or
Okay.
that. Dog or cat?
Dog.
Dog, right?
I am
I've had.
deathly allergic to cats.
Ooh.
Deathly.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know. No
Hmm.
surprise cats for Molly.
No, no, thank you.
Okay, you're going to just relax to watch some TV. You're either going to turn on Netflix or YouTube, and then I'll
Oh,
throw in Disney Plus because that's
oh, I feel like this is hard. I'm majorly a Netflix watcher because I'm such a huge Friends fan that like when they got rid of Friends, that like ruined me. Um, but then Parks and Rec was on there and it was fine. So I guess Netflix out of just like
yeah,
reacting because Friends and Parks and Rec
right,
were there just to they're my and New Girl. Those are my burner shows.
yeah.
But
I was gonna
yeah.
say Office or Friends, which I already knew the answer, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Friends all day.
Friends all day. It's funny because I looked up something on Friends on my Instagram, and now all I get is like Friend stuff, and I'm good
They
with it.
found you.
And I'm good with it. I'm like, I'm just laughing. I'm like, I need to go back through and watch it again.
You
And
should.
I remember you telling me that because you're a diehard fan. See, I was new
Big,
to the
yes.
Friends, but like Netflix didn't
Mm,
have the full episodes on there or something. Like
you're right.
there were parts missing.
Correct. They put up the edited for TV versions.
Okay.
So I actually have like the box set of the DVDs
Yeah.
when I don't even have a DVD player now. It's 2021. Okay. Like, I
I'm
don't
the
even
same
have
with The
one.
Office. I have all The Office, and I have under my bed a Blu-ray player that like I have to get it out to
Right.
watch.
Right. So, but those are like the actual, I mean, there's like punchlines missing in the ones
Yeah.
that were on Netflix. And I was like, oh, it's hard to watch, but it's my show.
But it's my
Like,
show. It's my show. Oh man. Okay. Phone call or text?
text.
Text.
I have two kids. Someone's always screaming. You're not going to get a quality phone conversation out of me
I get that.
currently.
Okay. All right. You're going to chill. Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram?
Oh, I love Insta. It's a rabbit hole, and I definitely have to take time off of it. I do 1 week off once a month.
Okay.
But I have a lot of friends who live far away, and I love seeing their kids. And I just need pictures. I don't need political rants.
Right. Okay.
Full stop.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because I thought I was more alone in this. Like, I feel like, I don't know, we were talking at my church. I think most of the guys at my church are Twitter guys. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I had an account, but I'm not on there. And I'm for that reason. It's like, I'm very visual. It's like, if there's a cool
Yeah.
picture and it says read below, then I might read it, but I'm not just
Yeah.
going to go read a bunch of stuff just to read it. I can do that. I have plenty of books around the house I'm supposed to
Correct.
read. I don't. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. Not a Twitter person.
Yeah. So cool. Okay. Music or podcasts?
And again, you caught me. Right now I'm in a podcast season.
Season.
So, yes, I have a very weird affinity for cults. And I have seen every documentary on Scientology, Mormonism,
Mm,
all this kind of stuff. And so there's a podcast called Cultish
yeah.
that came out a few years ago, and oh my gosh, it is wild. It is awesome. But like I've learned so much. And the pastors that run it are great. And so I do a lot of cultish podcasts. I do a lot of, there's one called The Place We Find Ourselves, which is great. Little
Okay.
plug for mental health people in there. It's like free counseling.
Wow.
It's fantastic. Describes your brain, your childhood, how that shapes you as an adult.
Wow.
Yeah, music's tough. I'm almost always, like I said, around kids because I am a worship leader, but I'm a full-time mom at home too. So like if it's not Baby Shark,
It's amazing how well that song works though. Like
Oh,
I found it on YouTube because we haven't listened to it that much, but Judy Lynn, I have a little daughter, for those of you who don't know, she's a little over a year and a half. I put that song on as a joke on like over an hour repeat.
Yes.
No one cared. It just, except me and Katie. She wasn't around. I just did it with kids, and they just sat there and watched it over and over.
You had one brain cell left at the end of it, but it was okay.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. All right. That's good. Apple or Android?
Apple.
Yep.
Apple.
Me too. All right. Star Wars or Marvel?
Star Wars. Isn't this weird for a girl? So my dad was very into it, and so I've seen them all.
Yeah.
And this is going to disappoint everybody, but I did not love The Mandalorian. I fell asleep in pretty much every episode. I see the face you're giving me right now. He hates me. He wants to delete this entire interview. But I loved Star Wars. I dressed up as Queen Amidala a few times as a kid.
That's awesome.
It was a cool outfit.
Yeah. So I didn't grow up Star Wars. I remember in like 6th grade, our boys Sunday school class got together for a weekend or an overnight thing, and like, we're gonna watch all the Star Wars, which back then was probably just the first 3, I think. And I just remember falling asleep, and I was like, I didn't get it. My parents weren't into it. So this year in the quarantine, we decided to pick it up, and we watched every one of them. We loved it. I was like, I'm gonna get through it. I know those like the 3 prequels are like everybody's worst, but you got to watch them.
They're great.
And so we did, and I'm glad we did. I know that we're not true fans because I actually enjoyed the last 3. Those were our favorite, with Kylo Ren and whatever.
I thought they were great.
All the Star Wars people are like, they weren't their favorite or something. I don't know.
They can get over it. As soon as Rey was introduced, I'm like, a woman. Thank you. Let's go. Besides Leia. So
Right. Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was awesome. And we enjoyed The Mandalorian. The kids, Judah, my 8-year-old, just had a Mandalorian birthday.
He's 8.
Yeah, he's 8. He's my young son. He's 8. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's gross.
That's gross. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, we're all into it. So we're ready to watch the next season, which doesn't come out till Christmas. Whatever. Okay, but we're also heavily into Marvel. I'm looking at my the wallpaper on my laptop is like Thor and Loki and Ragnarok. That's our favorite.
I've only seen a few. Like Star Wars is more of like my childhood. Marvel is more of like I came into an adulthood.
Yeah.
And the first Marvel movie I ever saw was The Avengers. Okay. And I loved it. I went and saw it twice in 1 week in the theater. Like I loved it. And Guardians of the Galaxy, I think. Yeah. But like that's I don't know. Yeah. I loved it. I'll sit down and watch them.
But. Are you like WandaVision? Did you watch WandaVision?
Have not watched WandaVision yet. Should I?
We loved it. We were watching it with the kids for the first, I forgot how many episodes, but the last 2 episodes, we didn't let them watch it just because it got kind of witchy and pretty dark all of a sudden. It wasn't like that the whole time. It was just kind of eerie and, it was awesome. It was funny. And then it got kind of, but sure, it was great. All the adults should go watch it. Okay. I think that was about it. I was going to ask, this might lead into even deeper stuff. We got to end this video, but form or function?
Ooh.
I don't even want to give you any more hints. Like, just how do you interpret that?
Do you know what's funny? The first thing that popped into my head was softball. So I was a softball pitcher, or fast pitch pitcher. And I remember you have to learn form and control before you learn speed and function.
Okay.
And so it's interesting that like athletics is the first thing that popped into my head.
Right.
But let me see. Tell me what what your answer was.
I think that's great because it was just meant to be broad. But I think for me, it's I talk a lot about pedals and stuff, but mine is all black because the way things look is a very big deal. Where a lot of people comment on my videos are like, you should have just bought a Helix. And I'm like, yeah, but a Helix looks horrible. I don't like the way it looks at all. Like, yeah, it's probably so for me, it matters the way things look because that's the way I'm wired. But not everybody's like that. They're like, just give me something that works And I can get that way too. Just give me something that
Yeah.
works and I don't care how it looks, so that's kind of how pedals, life, softball,
Yeah, whatever.
yeah.
That's cool though. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I've never had that as a this or that question.
Okay. Yeah. And it was kind of random and broad, but so think about it
Yeah.
more and I'll have you on the channel again and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Or not. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show. It's not a show. The channel, the Hey Worship Leader show. Thank you for coming on here. I think it was a very beneficial conversation and we'll do it again. We will. This doesn't
I
have to
hope
be-
so. I'm
Yeah.
open to any other types of questions. If there's like a follow-up, and
Yeah.
I'd love to. I'm learning so much right now. I'm like, as I'm in this teaching track through Summit and women's roles in where all that kind of stuff, like I am in it right now. And so if there are any questions, like you want to do a follow-up, I'm totally down.
That'd be awesome.
And yeah, I'm having a baby in 8 weeks, but like I'm here. I don't really leave.
So you thought you were a full-time mom. Now you're going to be full-time mom.
Yes. And that can probably be a follow-up thing. Cause it's like, as the first female worship leader at Summit, I was also like having my first baby, and it was a lot for me and the church to figure out together. Like, how do I do like, I told all the guys on worship staff, I'm like, you have to understand, I'm doing your job and your wife's job
Right.
at the same time.
Right. Yeah.
I don't really know how to make this work. And you know what? You go through seasons and you talk to your pastors and you figure out what works for you. And I may be going contract this next year as my responsibilities at home increase, but my ministry is not done.
Right.
So yeah, not going to put a pin in it yet.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Well,
yeah,
good for you. Thank you for being a faithful servant of the church and being able to teach young whippersnappers like me. I'm way older than you. I don't know what I'm talking
my gosh, he is. He's like 40.
I am no, I'm not. I'm 37. 37. That is close. That is upper 30s now, isn't it? I'm way past my Jesus year. It felt like I was there just 4 years ago. Yeah. It's only 4 years.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. Okay, let's be done. Hey, if you like this video, like and subscribe. Comment down below your favorite part and all the things you want to say. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.